بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا أما بعد. My brothers and sisters, we are the big news and sad news, very tragic news that we are hearing, have been hearing for the last couple of days is the death of Kobe Bryant in the helicopter crash. He and his daughter, and of course whoever else was there in the helicopter. People keep saying over and over again, Kobe Bryant and his daughter's Gianna's death is tragic and tragic. And I was thinking to myself, but others also died, and their death is also tragic. But celebrities get spoken about and others are ignored. The reason I mention that is for two things. One is that these reminders from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala come to us on a daily basis. Every day we are reminded that there is a time which is fixed, and when that time comes, it will not be delayed. And that time comes for everybody. You don't have to be old and sick to die. You don't have to be young to die. You don't have to be rich or poor. Everybody dies. So that is the one thing. And of course, Kobe Bryant was a very good man. Alhamdulillah, he was a man who inspired a lot of people. I was reading about some things about him, and the many lessons to be learned from his life with regard to consistency, focus, the will to achieve. It's absolutely amazing. It's typically after winning a match, when they go home, they would fly back, and when they reach their home base, everybody would go home, but Kobe Bryant would go to the gym. He would go to the basketball court, and he would practice the two shots that he missed, the two air shots. That's it. In the whole match, there was two air shots that he did. He didn't score there, and those two shots he would practice 100 times each before he went home. After winning the match, not after losing the match, after winning the match. They said that once they had a 8 a.m. team meeting for breakfast. They were playing somewhere, and they said, the coach said, let's all meet for breakfast. They said we all kind of woke up, and most of us are groggy. We're sitting there, and Kobe Bryant comes in, and he is fully kitted out, and he is soaking in sweat. You say, where did this guy come from? He had ice on his knees. He said, where did this fellow come from? He came from 3 hours of practice before the 8-hour meeting. So at 5 a.m., the guy was on the court. Alone. Shaquille O'Neal says once that he went to this place and he heard this sound of ball bouncing and whatnot, and it's pitch dark. And he goes into the gym and the basketball court. It's pitch dark. He said, "Who the hell is playing in darkness?" And that's Kobe Bryant. He's shooting baskets in the dark. I mean, amazing focus. I mean, his people, of course, they've quoted him now, and so somebody wrote. He said that he wanted to be remembered as an overachiever who squeezed the last drop of juice from the orange. And the orange meaning himself. So many good things to learn. A very inspiring person. And the thing that I take away from this, the life of the man, is that everyone gets the same thing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the opportunities, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the time to a lot of people. But not everyone squeezes the last drop of juice out of the orange. That's the key thing. Not everybody squeezes the last drop of juice out of their orange. And that is a function of focus, and it's a function of consistency of effort. Because all of these stories of Kobe Bryant were stories of the man after he had achieved everything that there was to achieve. There was nothing else. Whatever was there to achieve, he achieved it. Whatever there was to win, he won it. There was nothing else for him to win. Despite that, he wakes up at 5 a.m. and before 8 a.m. he's 3 hours of workouts in the gym and so on. He used to do a sort of push-up, which they used to call the suicide push-up. So on the upstroke, he would fly up in the air and slam his hands together, and then come and fall back again. So that's the level of fitness that we are talking about. Right? Focus to the extent he got Nike to shave off micro centimeters of sole from the shoe, from his shoe, to give him that extra advantage in responding. He was not overweight, obviously, but in order to further, he said, I want to my knees to have less strain, so he lost 16 pounds. It's a question of focus. It is a question of focus, and it's a question of how much you want success. As simple as that. The final point I want to say, obviously this session is not about Kobe Bryant, but it's important, and that's where I want to start from. The final thing is the very short, it's a 3 or 5 minutes video that he made, which won the Oscar. It's called Dear Basketball. That was his farewell speech, so to speak, when he retired at the age of 41. It says, you must see it. It's on YouTube. Just do see it. It's a very beautifully made. It's an animation and very, very well made. And it says the title is it says not my dear. It says Dear Basketball. What struck me in that, it's a poem basically, which he is reading out and with animations. What struck me was the term that he used again and again. He said, I did this for you. He's talking to the basketball. Right? He said, I did this for you. I did this for you. I did this for you. The question when I heard that, question I asked myself is, do I have anything in my life that I can say to Allah, I did this for you? What do I have in my life that I can say to my Rabb Jalla Jalalu, I did this for you? If that man can wake up and go to the gym and practice for 3 hours before 8 a.m., and not one day, every day of his life, for basketball. What am I doing that I can say to Allah, I did this for you? And that is what I thought, let me share with you, the fact that we all die. Everybody dies. No one denies the fact that we die. People deny God, they deny the Prophet, they deny many things. But nobody denies that we die. The question is, what happens thereafter? What happens after we die? And what is the preparation for that? Because if we prepare or if we believe in something, the sign of that belief is that we prepare for that. If I do not believe I'm going tomorrow to Seattle to teach the Sira Solution Workshop, and then there are 3 other lectures, then there is Juma. The fact that I believe I will go, and inshallah Allah will give me the life to do it, the proof of that is my preparation, is all the lectures that I have written and I have printed and I have kept, and the Sira Solution Workshop which I have sent out, and I have got on my USB, all of that. All of this is evidence that I believe that I will be in Seattle tomorrow, and then for the next 3-4 days, this is what I will be doing. What is the evidence that I believe that? The preparation for it. If I didn't believe it, I wouldn't be preparing. If I say I believed it, if I say I believe in that and I have not prepared anything, and then tomorrow I am on a plane, then what do I do when I land in Seattle? Because there is no preparation. Obviously, that would be very foolish. That would be a very foolish thing to do. So, how about we live our lives saying that we believe in the meeting with Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, and then if somebody asks us, or even if nobody asks, we ask ourselves and say, "Well, I believe you believe in the meeting with Allah. So, what is the evidence? What is the proof? What is the proof?" I mentioned Kobe Bryant also, not only because that's recent and it's in the news and we all know this, and we are from basketball land. The game was invented in the city, in Springfield. The reason I mentioned also is because Kobe Bryant is a symbol of success, right? He's a symbol of success. He is an inspiration for a lot of people. You want to be successful like him. Here was a man who was on top of his profession. He made a lot of money. He had a lot of businesses. He was obviously, because of his profession and whatever else he did, he was very well known. He was hugely influential. So there is a standard of success. And he was a man who fitted that standard. So he said, here is a highly successful person. My question to myself and to you is, what is our standard of success? What is our standard of success? This whole Living Islam session is for us to reflect and to seriously ask these questions. It's no good saying my standard of success is Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Really? If that is so, does that reflect in our lives? And if it does not reflect in our lives, then you are lying. Simple as that. And the secret of success is never to tell lies to yourself. Never lie to yourself. Don't lie to anybody, but definitely not to yourself. So, what is my standard of success? What, according to me, is success? Kobe Bryant's standard of success was to be number one in basketball. His life is evidence of that belief. It is evidence that this was his standard and he lived up to that standard. And you can't find fault with that. There was not a move that he missed. He did whatever needed to be done to become number one in the world in his profession. So if I say my standard of success is XYZ, whatever it is, what's the evidence? The reason why it is important for us to examine our standards of success and to correct that standard of success to reflect what Islam portrays and what Islam recommends is because then our life will be geared to achieve that. We do not have an awful lot of time. I mean, I have probably less than any of you because I've lived longer than practically all the people here. I don't think there's anybody here is older than me. Alhamdulillah. You are older. Yeah, he is older than I am. That's it. But he is younger than me, so it's okay. But my point is that we do not have, and being older and younger means nothing. Huh? Kobe Bryant was 23 years younger than I am as we stand, and he's dead and I'm alive. So being young and old means nothing. We do not, because we don't know when we are going to die. I mean, you might have 50 years left, you might have 10 seconds left, who knows? So that's why it is very important for us to get our act together and to do it fast. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, for those who want the harvest of this life, that will be given to them. And for those who want the harvest of the akhirah, they will be given increase in that. So we choose. Now, life of this world, harvest of this world does not mean that it is not permissible for you to desire the permissible things. So, alhamdulillah, Islam does not prevent us from desiring or wanting to or working for halal wealth and for our families and for our communities and so on and so forth. All of that is included. What it means is not to buy the dunya in exchange for the akhirah. So while, for example, accumulating wealth or building your asset portfolio, to indulge in the disobedience of Allah, because no khair can come from the disobedience of Allah. Nothing good can come out of the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if somebody says, do all of this, build all of this, but for that I have to borrow money on interest, I have to do this and that, and if you say, let's do that because I should build my portfolio, I must have my asset base, then obviously you are buying the dunya in exchange for the akhirah. And that's a bum deal. I mean, that's going to end up only in loss. It can't possibly end up in any profit. Right? The thing to understand is that the currencies of the two places are different. The currency of the dunya, the currency of the akhirah is different. For somebody like me, I come from India. When I'm here in the US, $1 is worth 70 Indian rupees, 70. So if I am sitting in India and I've got an X amount of money and I feel, oh wow, fantastic, I'm a wealthy man. I bring that money to America, I have to divide it by 70. So suddenly all my wealth looks like nothing. I can sell my house and buy a hamburger or something, I don't know. It's not that bad, but still. That is the issue of the dunya versus the akhirah. The stuff of this dunya, unless it translates into actions and into good deeds, into hasanat, on the day of judgment has no value. Because whatever we earn in this dunya stays here. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, we know the hadith where Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said only 3 things follow a person after death. His actions, sadaqatul jariyah, or any deeds that he did which continue to earn reward, any child that he leaves behind who makes dua for him, and knowledge that he teaches, which is of a beneficial nature. So any book and so on and so forth. Some people have elaborated on that. Mundiri Rahmatullahi has given an explanation for this and so on. So the point I'm saying is that all of that, if you look at it and we say, well, what stays with me is only amal. Sadaqatul jariyah is amal. It's deeds which you did in your lifetime which continue to earn reward after you have passed away. Children, again, because you spend time and energy on their tarbiyah, on teaching them and so on and so forth, and they do something good and they make dua for you. that remains with you, and any knowledge that you teach to people and they practice it, alhamdulillah, this is of benefit to you. It's all three of them are your own deeds. So when we are doing the valuation of our portfolios, our asset portfolios, I remind myself anew that it's important to evaluate them on this basis and say what is the asset value that I have. Because all the asset value that I have, which is in material terms, my land and property and bank balance and this and that and cars and whatnot, is not asset. It's not asset. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam once, it was summer, it was extremely hot. Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, it was so incredibly hot that he couldn't stay in his house. So he came out of his house, and for the Sahaba, the place of relief was the company of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So he came out of his house and he started walking and going towards Masjid al-Nabawi and the house of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And on the way he met Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu. He asked him, "Where are you going?" He said, "It's too hot to stay in the house. I'm going to meet Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam." And as they neared Masjid al-Nabawi Sharif, they saw Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam coming out of there. He said, "Ya Rasulullah, we came to be with you." He said, "It's too hot. I can't stay in the house." So I came out. The three of them went to Abu Ayyub al-Ansari's house, radiallahu anhu. Abu Ayyub al-Ansari radiallahu anhu was not home. His wife seated them. Immediately he came and he was so happy to see them. So he went to his date orchard and he brought some cold water. And then he cut a whole bunch of dates which had ripe dates and it had half-ripe dates and it had green dates. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, "Why did you cut this whole thing?" He said, "Ya Rasulullah, if you want to eat ripe dates, they are there. If you want to eat half-ripe, they are there. And if you want to eat green dates, they are also there. So I brought it for you." And as they were sitting and eating these dates and drinking the water, he slaughtered, there was a small goat kid, he slaughtered that and he gave it to his wife and she made some bread and she cooked this meat. When they brought the bread and the meat, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam took 2 loaves of bread, he put the meat in it and he said, "Go and give it to Fatima. They have not eaten for 3 days." Eh? Ajib, huh? That's why I say fairy tales. Subhanallah. If we did not know that these things are true, they sound like fairy tales. But these were people, these are real people. And they were not like that because they were lazy. Ali bin Abi Talib radiallahu anhu used to work and he would go and work in a date garden which was owned by a Jewish man. And he would work so hard and so well that by half the day he would have done the work of what any other person would have done in a full day. And at half the day, he would stop working. So the man, the owner, the Jewish guy would tell him, "Look, I'll give you double wages. Please complete the work till the evening." He said, "No. I need time to go and spend with Rasulullah." He is living in his house. What time do you want to spend with him? It's a question of productive time. Maybe Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to teach something at that time in the afternoon, evening, and so on and so forth. Sayyidina Ali didn't want to miss that. So Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam sent this bread and meat. Then they ate, and they drank water, and they ate the dates, and so on and so on. And then Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, "By the one in whose hand is the life of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala will question you about this." Allah will question you about this. Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu started weeping. He said, "Ya Rasulullah, we were so hungry. We were so hungry. And we ate this. And Allah will question us?" Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, "Yes. And why should he not question you? This is not your right. It is not your right that you should get this. He said, thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make shukr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Allah will reward you, will not question you. Otherwise, Allah will question you. The point I want to make is, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will question people like those simply for eating their food, what will I ask? What will I have to answer? So what is the preparation? I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, that we need to change our standards. The problem is our standards. In this country especially, and today this is more or less true globally, our standards are way out. We have created standards which have enslaved us. You're working day and night, day and night, day and night, back-breaking work. For what? Because you set your standard like that. I need to have $1 million house. I must have this kind of a portfolio. I must have this kind of a car, and so on and so on. All of that, you can get all of that. But it means that you have to break your back doing work for the next 30 years, 35 years. If instead of saying I want $1 million house, if you said I am willing to live in a comfortable rented house, I don't want to buy a house, not interested. I will live in a rented house, comfortable house. I'm not saying live on the street, no, comfortable house. I will drive a nice, decent car. Believe me, you could do that working for 10% of what you are doing today. Comfortably, without any problem. And then 90% of the time you would then have to do to build your portfolio in the Akhirah. Because that also needs time. Believe me, that's not going to happen out of the air. Today we have reached a point where we think that if I am praying 5 times Salah, I am doing ihsan on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And on top of that, I'm giving zakat. Now, come on, you can't want more than that, So, where is the time to work for the akhirah? If I am so completely involved, I'm not talking about haram, I'm talking about halal. Even in the halal, we've got so completely involved and engrossed that there is no time. Supposing you say, I would like to wake up 2 hours before Salatul Fajr and I want to pray Tahajjud and I want to read 1 juz of Quran. Do you have the energy to do that? Because you work all those hours, you come home and then you watch Ertugul. Where is the time to read Tahajjud? Huh? We have to change our standards. That also requires time. Just like this requires time, that also requires time. Allah gives barakah, no doubt. But it needs time. It needs time, it needs focus, it needs effort, it needs consistency like this. But then, when the time to go comes, that is when you see the value of that. Then you will say, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. I'm so happy that I invested with Allah. Hatim al-Asam. I'll do a whole series of it inshallah later, but just one point I want to make. One of the things he said to his Sheikh, when he asked him, what did you learn from me in the 30 years that you spent with me? One of the things he said, I looked at the people, I saw the people and I saw the people are afraid. They are very fearful. He said they are fearful of losing what they have. He said somebody is fearful of losing his business, somebody is fearful of losing his family, somebody is fearful of losing his money, and so on and so. They're fearful. Everybody is afraid of losing what they have. So he said, I decided therefore to give everything that I have into the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what is the meaning of that? The meaning of that is Hatim al-Hassam used to say that whatever is more than daruri, whatever is more than necessary, spend in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what is necessary, he used to define it in today's, if we think about it, then you have to see it. But these were the people. Abu Dhar Ghifari radiallahu anhu, once he's going on the street, he had one thobe on his shoulder. So he was known to be very ascetic. He was known to be a very, pious and very sort of ascetic person, very hard on himself. So one of his friends, he met him, he said, how can you live like this? You have nothing. Abu Dhar Ghifari says, who told you I have nothing? He said, I have this thobe which I am wearing. He said, I have this one here, which I keep for Jummah. I have a goat which gives me milk. He said, I have a donkey which I ride when I need to ride. He said, I have a house in which I live. He said, what more does a man need? What more does a man need? The next day, the same man met him and he had no thobe. So he said, what happened? He said, no, somebody needed, I gave it to him. These were people who learned from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam directly. I'm not saying that, I'm not promoting you or me to become like Abu Dhar Ghifari radiallahu anhu. If we become, alhamdulillah, all power to you, but at least I think I can get there. But at least we can have that as a standard and ask ourselves this question and say, what is my investment in my akhirah? What is it I'm doing? I know my investment in dunya, I have this. What about the akhirah? What have I invested in the akhirah? Al-Walid bin Abdul Malik bin Marwan came to Makkah for Umrah. He was the Khalifa after Umar bin Abdul Aziz, Rahmatullah. Abdul Malik, Al-Walid, the son of Abdul Malik bin Marwan. So he came to Makkah for Umrah. After he finished Umrah, he asked somebody whether any of the Tabi'in were around in Makkah. So they took him to one of the Tabi'un. He asked him, he said, why am I afraid of death? He said, I fear death. Why do I fear death? This person said to him, you fear death because you have not done anything to prepare for death. He said, all your palaces are here. There you have nothing. If you had prepared for that, if you had invested, if you had built palaces there, you would look forward to going there. No? People who come to America come to stay. They don't go back to their countries. But in the Middle East, it's very common because the Middle Eastern, the Arabs don't give you citizenship. So no matter how many years you stay there, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, you still have to go back to your country. So many people or most people who work in the Arab countries, they send money back home to Egypt and Lebanon and wherever, right? India, Pakistan, whatnot. So you're building your house there and you're buying land there and whatnot. So they in Jeddah or Dubai or wherever or Muscat they are living, they live very they live very frugally. Small houses, they share apartments and so on. But the actual big house is building back home. So all surplus cash they keep sending back home. So easy to understand from that, using that as an example. So what is it that we are sending back home? Because that is home. That is home. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent us out from there and told us come back. Humul warithun. In Surah Al-Mu'minun, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the awsaf of the mu'mineen, and then at the end, what did he say? Humul warithun. He said they are the inheritors. Inheritors meaning what? It belongs to you. You inherit Jannatul Firdaus. Hum fiha khalidun, and that's where they will stay forever. Provided they satisfy these conditions. So I want to close with this by reminding myself and you, let us focus on where we are going. Let us take this, and Kobe Bryant didn't have to die to remind us. We get these reminders every day. Every day. So let us take these reminders seriously and prepare for the time when we are going to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My submission to you is don't focus on anybody else. Look at yourself. Today we are very keen to, and very readily we look at other people and this is wrong with him, that is wrong with him. Forget all that. Leave them. What is wrong with him? Let Allah forgive him. You make dua for him. Focus on yourself. And you say, what is it that I need to do to make sure that when I meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I meet Allah in a way where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with me. But that's the only thing which will count. Death will come. All the money in the world can't protect us from death. Sometimes the money becomes the reason for the death. If Kobe Bryant wasn't going on in a helicopter, maybe he was going on a bicycle, maybe he wouldn't have died. No? If time for his death, he would have died anyway. I'm just saying that if you look at it purely from a materialistic angle, he died because he in a helicopter crash. If he wasn't in a helicopter, he wouldn't have crashed. Why was he in a helicopter? Because he had the money to afford it. So let us focus on ourselves and say, what are the amal that I can create for myself, which will be my resource when I meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Jalla Jalaluhu to be pleased with all of you, to make you and give you a life which is pleasing to Him. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to fill your hearts with His nur and with His mercy and with the hubb of His Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Jalla Jalaluhu to inspire you and enable you to do all the things that please Him, and to save you and protect you from any amal that does not please Him. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Jalla Jalaluhu to cover you with His mercy and with His grace, and to give you protection from all evil of every kind that you know and that you don't know. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to cure all those who are ill from whatever that ails them. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take all those who are in debt out of debt. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take and give all of you rizqan halalan tayyibah, without any effort on your part, as a gift from Him Jalla Jalaluhu. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to free your time to spend in His worship and to learn about His deen and to learn about Him and to make ruju towards Him, inshallah. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enable all of you to make istighfar and to accept your tawbah and to turn towards Him Jalla Jalaluhu. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyil kareem wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Walhamdulillah.